So hi everyone, welcome to my 1,000-mile review of the Suzuki V Strom 650 XT 2020 edition. So I've had this bike for about 1,000 miles now. Bought it just before the start of lockdown, expecting to go on a big trip over to Russia, but obviously that got canned. So just to let you know what I've got different on the bike. Obviously I've got the Givi Trekker Outback panniers on each side. I haven't bothered with the top box. Yes, I've also added the SW Motec crash bars on there. I've also got the center stand by SW Motec, which you can see down there. And that's pretty much it in terms of the mods that I've done for it. Obviously this model comes with 3-point traction control, so off first stage, which is just regular riding, and second stage, which is the rain mode. Found that to be really helpful kind of so far, especially if we've done any off-road. Being able to turn off the traction control is really helpful. Has got ABS on this model, but you don't have the option to turn that off, so if you are doing any off-road, and that can be a limiting factor. So the XT model comes with these kind of gold spoked wheels, which I really like in terms of the style. For 2020 they've also updated the colouring a little bit, so you can see under here they've got a much more kind of yellow going on. I think it's Marmite the yellow. I quite like it, although if you're in Kielder Forest like I am here, it does tend to attract the bugs. They've slightly changed the beak, but pretty much this is the same bike that was around in 2019 and 2018. So I guess just before I kind of go into what I think of the bike, just wanted to let you know what kind of I was looking for in a bike. Yeah, so I came off the back of doing a big trip on the 1000 XT to Iceland in 2018, which is a great bike. Really enjoyed it, although it was just a little bit heavy for me, especially doing some off-roading. I'm not the tallest guy, so I was looking for something a little bit lighter, and I didn't really need the extra power. You know, it was great having 1,000 cc's when you're bombing across the motorways of Europe, but equally I've done it on a 650 before and it was no problem. So I was looking for something a little bit smaller and a little bit cheaper in terms of price as well. So I was looking predominantly at this. I test rode the 2019 version at the Adventure Bike Rider Festival and really enjoyed it. I also took out a Triumph Tiger 800 2018 model, which again was an alright bike, although I didn't really see much of a difference between this and the Tiger in terms of how it rode. So I think in terms of the pros of this bike, first of all, I mean, I think the price for what you can get it for, I traded in my Suzuki GSX 650F, and they had a deal on at the time in January for this, and you know, I parted with just over kind of £5,000 for a brand new bike and a trade-in, which I didn't think was that bad at all. I think competitively they definitely are kind of priced to be at the kind of lower end of that kind of a, you know, adventure kind of sports mid-market bike, and I think you actually get quite a lot for your money in terms of what the bike actually gives you. In terms of the other pros, I really like the handle of it. Handles really well, same as the 1000 XT actually, although actually even better with it being that little bit lighter. Really enjoy riding it around the sort of twisty roads of Northumberland, and it's been, not that I've done loads of motorway miles, but the motorway miles that I've done sitting there, again, it's been absolutely fine, really comfortable. One thing I do like compared to the 1000 and the Tiger is that the seat is a little bit shorter, so I'm 5'10", so kind of bang average height. But it just really helps, especially kind of off-road confidence, being able to put your feet down, and also when you've got the bike, kind of, you know, if you've got the panniers full, the weight of the panniers, anything on the back, it's a really can be quite a kind of heavy weight to have. So being able to have, I can get my feet pretty much flat on the ground. There is a low seat option that you can get. So I think the kind of where it kind of fits, I really like the fact that it sits in kind of that sweet spot of the price and the capability of what you get. It is, you know, it's a really good bike. I don't think it quite has some of the styling. I really like the styling of it, but for some people, I know that like the BMWs and the KTMs and the Triumphs do just have a little bit kind of a better look for some people. That's the bike. I think the biggest one is if you want to do any real off-roading with this. Obviously, it's kind of marketed as it says on the front there, sport adventure tourer. Is it a hybrid in between? And I think it's kind of, you know, more at the upper end of the kind of road end of the bike, albeit you can do some off-roading. What I'm kind of looking for in a bike is something that, you know, 5-10% of the time can take me off-road on something that's not too tricky, kind of gravel roads. That's about it. I'm not looking to kind of, you know, go over the kind of Himalayas on a bike. And I think if you are, this probably isn't the bike for you. The fact you can't turn off the ABS, I think is a real difficulty. But also in terms of, I know for some of the other bikes, you know, the how far the suspension can go will be a limiting factor. And just, you know, this is really built for kind of, you know, most of the time on the road. And I think if you were going to be looking at something to do more off-road, obviously the Yamaha Tenere 700, you know, some of the KTMs and the Beamers are probably going to do a better job. But it really depends what you want. So I think in conclusion, the V Strom 650 XT, the 2020 model, is a kind of is a good kind of balanced bike. Really can do a little bit of off-road, really enjoy riding it on road. The price is pretty good. I really like the styling. And you know, there's plenty of accessories you can get for it. You can really kind of pimp it up if that's something that you want to do. So I would recommend it to any new riders as well. You know, it's kind of got enough power to kind of get you out of any trouble and accelerate past things, but you know, not so much power that you're going to be scared to touch the throttle. I really like the way that the V Strom, the V twin engine kind of performs. There's plenty of grunt in there. I'm a pretty chilled out kind of rider, so it's a kind of chilled out engine, which I think is great. But obviously, like I said, you know, there's plenty of kind of usage that you can get in there. If you really, you know, need to kind of press on, there's plenty of power in it. I'd have no concerns, or I have got no concerns about taking this across Europe and into Russia, hopefully next year. Restrictions sort of pending. So I think overall, really, really good bike. I'd recommend it. I'd totally recommend getting on and having a test ride of one. I was really surprised when I first rode the V Strom 1000 XT, how good it was, and then this being even better. And I think, you know, if you're coming off a KTM or you're coming off a Beamer, or even the kind of Tiger, which I think is probably one of the 800 is one of its main competitors, I'd really make sure you have a look at this, because for the price and what it's capable of, I think it's a solid bike.